Hello, guys, and welcome to the Real Estate Doctors Podcast, where I am here to inspire, educate, and sometimes entertain you. Today, I have one of my students. He's actually a great businessman, and he's actually in real estate now too. Well, he has been. I just didn't know when actually we started working together. Dion Cashaw, and Dion. I'll let him introduce himself and what he does and this, that, and the other thing. But he was introduced to me through a colleague and said, "Hey, why don't you talk to this guy?" And I was initially coaching Dion for business. And the reason we're doing this podcast is, just casually, I think it was like a couple months in, Dion goes to me, "Oh, by the way, I'm headed out to like Pittsburgh to buy some property." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, you're buying some property? You know, I'm the real estate doctor. What are you doing?" And when he told me he was buying property under $5,000, I was like, hold on a minute. What's going on here? So if you guys heard me right, I said under $5,000, and we're not talking about like trailer parks or trailers. I'm going to get into this, and how Dion is buying his properties is what's called buying tax sales or tax deeds. And this is a very, I would say, esoteric, or it's a strategy that's not for rookies, but it's not as complicated as a lot of people think, and there's a lot of value that you can make. Uh, so I said, "Listen, Dion, let me interview you. Let me hear what you've been doing. I want to tell my audience, I want to tell everybody else what you're doing and how they can work with you and how it can benefit you." So, in any event, without further ado, we have Dion here. Hey, Dion, how are you,
Hey,
bro?
what's going on? I'm good and you.
All right, man. All right, so Dion, I wanted to talk a little bit about, well, let's get your background here. So, obviously, I'm coaching you in your businesses. And, so I had no idea that you've been doing real estate. So, let's talk a little bit about how long have you been doing real estate?
All right, I'm 34 years old. I started at the age of 19. So for the last 15 years, I've been in the real estate business.
You started at 19, man. I've only met one person. I started at 19 too. I only met one person that did before me, and I'm sure there's plenty, but there's a bunch of 18-year-olds. I see people DMing me that are, prior to, under 18, but that's pretty cool. So Dion, tell us a little bit about yourself, like, maybe a little bit about the businesses, where you came from, what you're doing now, and then we'll get into like these crazy tax sale, tax deed properties.
All right. Well, name is Dion Cashaw, and I'm from a city outside of Pittsburgh called Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. We have a lot of football stars from there. Mike Dick is from there. So we have a lot of homegrown names in that area. A lot of greatness comes out of that area. Didn't go the football route. I did the business route. I came into New Jersey at the age of 18. Had a couple of hard times, but then I got into real estate. I was motivated to get into real estate from a cousin of mine who was doing real estate. By the age of 19, I actually purchased my first property and got into real estate, learned the hard way. I have a high school education with some college, but how really got me was being boots on the ground to learn a lot of pitfalls, a lot of things people don't tell you, a lot of things in real estate. So I learned a lot of stuff up here in New Jersey. I dealt a lot of business in the Essex County area, in the Newark, New Jersey area, and I bought a lot of property in that area. So I also took a little break from real estate to build out my other company. My other company name is Quality Touch Community Care. That's my healthcare company. That's my largest company. That's where Jay was mentoring me in, getting that stuff together. And then I'm also a faith-based person. I'm a minister, and I pray a lot. So I prayed for my healthcare company when things happened, and then also I prayed because I really had a passion for real estate. I wanted to get back into real estate, and so I said a prayer, and God told me to go back home to that area, which is the outskirts of Pittsburgh area, Pittsburgh and the surrounding areas. And when I went back out there, there it was a gold mine. I realized there's a way to purchase houses, yes, for under $5,000, and I'm a part of that movement. One of my prayers was, up in New Jersey, it was really expensive, man. It was really really expensive trying to buy houses, trying to remodel them, and I wanted to go somewhere where I didn't have to take a mortgage out on a property. I could just own it outright, fix it up at my leisure. And that's what me and you were talking about when I say, hey, I'm going out here to buy properties. I was just buying some just for leisure purposes. But I wanted to get back into it. But then, I discovered how great of a business, real estate has always been my baby, but how great of a business and lucrative buying these tax sales, these tax deeds, properties are. So,
Well, I mean, you said a couple things that are totally true. So you're living now in North Jersey.
yes,
I don't have it in front of me, but obviously property is a lot more expensive in North Jersey, New York area than it is in, West Pennsylvania.
yes.
So I love the fact that you put together like, hey, I'd like to own a property and not have a mortgage, and basically nobody's out there thinking that way. So let me just break it down here what you said to me. So you said, "Hey, I'm going to buy a couple properties or, I don't know, how many were you going to buy? Like 3 or
At
something
that
like
time, like 3 to 4. Yeah, three, four
3 or 4."
properties.
So I'm like, "Wow, he's going to buy 3 to 4." Like, "Okay, what are you doing?" And then, you said, "Oh, well, I buy like I maybe you got some like really good ones, but you were like I'm basically buying them for $3,000 and then I fix them up and I flip them, right? That's what you do,
Yeah.
right?"
Yep.
Right. So, now, you know, I do real estate all the time. I hear stuff. Well, I don't hear 3,000 all the time. I don't hear 5,000. I don't even hear nowadays. I really don't even. I mean, the last time I was buying property and like for 15,000. I mean, first off, the only time I've actually bought property for this type of price is probably 10 years ago, and I was buying tax sales too. And I'm going to explain, let's just call them tax deeds. We'll call them tax deeds for the
That's
purposes
deeds.
here. And I'm going to explain a little bit what that means. But after Dion told me this, I really just want to show you guys this. Like, so I said, well, what kind of renovations are you doing to these things? Right. So he sends me like a couple videos. And before I show those videos, Dion, can you explain like what your mindset is when you're renovating these houses? Like, why do you do the because you can do. I'm probably the king of uh, you know uh, doing rental grade rehabs in the hood, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and there are some people that do like high end rehabs in super nice areas, and then some people say they're high end, but they're not really high end. So maybe I should, you know what? I'm going to show you guys, like, I'm just going to show you the renovations. Now, in my career, these are super high-end renovations, right? So, well, first off, Dion, I also Aliquippa, it's funny. I was with somebody last week when I was in Philadelphia, and they're like, Aliquippa, they got like this crazy football stadium. It's up in this thing. I had no idea, I didn't know anything about Aliquippa or anything like this, but a lot of people do know about Aliquippa. So, and
Yeah.
and are you only buying in Aliquippa?
No, I'm doing the entire Pittsburgh surrounding areas, different cities there too. But my heart is for my hometown.
Okay.
And if you allow me to explain a little bit, because you did hit on something. You said, what was the motivation? Um, I believe in quality, right? I believe in, I don't want to allow somebody to live in something that I wouldn't live in myself, right? And my main goal was to, in the area, the income level isn't so high, but for me, I believe people deserve the best out of life. If you go to work every day, I don't care if you're working at Wendy's and McDonald's and you have a family of four and you guys are making $35,000 a piece a year. I want you to come home to something that is your own oasis, that is your own peace. So what I do is I look at these $1 million flips in these really expensive areas, and I just do them on a small level because I believe that you should have that same peace of mind, the same high-end quality, even if you're living in an area where it doesn't call for it, because I believe in the actual life of people and the quality of life of people. I don't care if you make $1 million a year or 35,000. There's no difference in people. So I think a lot of people deserve the high level of quality, and this is some of the stuff that I do.
I mean, you're one in a million. I mean, I have seen over my career people do renovations like these in not A neighborhoods. And I always said to myself, like, who is doing this? Like, and finally, after 27 years, I found you. So the renovations that you're doing, like how do you stay away from over, and I'm gonna show them guys, but like how do you stay away from like over improving? Like that's always a concern when you're an investor, like,
Yeah.
you know, how do I not put too much money in the house that I won't be able to get the money out of the house?
Bulk buying first is one thing to keep costs down. Buy in bulk. Another thing is, use local contractors. People who are in the area, have a game plan from there. And what I do is because I like paying labor, just give me your labor costs. And then what I'll do is I'll supply the material and some of the higher end materials I buy in bulk, and I keep a down there. I have like a little warehouse storage area where I'll buy some, catch a deal on something, and I'll just store it in there, and that's how I'm able to keep a lot of costs down. But it's more of the little nuanced thoughts, like the little nuances, which might not cost a lot. So instead of me buying a chandelier, for instance, for $75. If I put another $40 with it, I can get a higher end one, a better looking one, a better. So just taking those little costs, and I'm looking to do quality, and what really gives a really good return at the end of the day, because I look at the numbers, but I just do small things and buy in bulk, and make sure I deal with the local contractors, because you'll be surprised how much skill is in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people that haven't had the opportunity to express it.
it's that is surprising because like one of the things that people will say is like, it's hard to find contractors that can do this quality. Let me just show I'm going to show a video of, um, you know, let me see if I can make this bigger. All right. You can see this, right?
Yep.
All right. So you might even want to explain what you did here.
Yeah, so I went to the contractor, told him my white with the black with the wood look. He said, "Okay, I got a great idea." He said, "Let's torch the wood." I like those new modern numbers. So just going online, ordering those things. And my contractor was like, "Hey, I got a really nice design for the staircase. Let's do that." I love porcelain floors, and in every house I do a showpiece in the living room, and I do a showpiece like that fireplace. So I ordered the fireplace, we built it out, and we tie our outside to look like the inside. And as you can see, this house is 900 and I think 82 square feet. So it's not that large, but the amount of quality we brought in there, I bought a deep gold sink. I do small things to bring out the quality in the house. So when you come home, I want you to enjoy this. I want you to feel like me going to work, this is worth it. And as we walk upstairs, you're going to see even how we do the bathrooms. So one of my design styles, I love tiling the entire bathroom, and not just regular tile. I do higher grade porcelain tiles, and we do offsets. And I'll get I like going to hotels, and I seen these mirrors. So I went to the hotels, and I found where they got the mirrors from. And then if you look in here, the shower jet system with the raindrop, I want to make sure when you're at home, you're going to enjoy this beautiful home. I even listened to the contractor. The contractor was like, "Hey, let's do the glass bath shower." And the contractor's idea was to do that textured wall. So being able to work collaboratively with your local contractors and let them do their expression also. You give them the main thing, but a lot of people have a lot of hidden talents and they want to do these things. When you allow them to really express their artistic value, you'll have products like this in areas where you be like, "Hey, why is this house even here?" Because they take pride in what they do.
Yeah, man, I got to tell you, like you're one in a million. The fact that you're even thinking about the contractor expressing their artistic talents and incorporating what they want to do. Um, but this particular house, and I, I'm only showing one house, but Dion's done a bunch of these houses, and he does them all in this same kind of quality. This particular house is it 4 bedrooms? This one,
That one's a 4 bedroom, yes.
4 bedroom, 3 stores. So one of the things when I asked you the question, I'm just realizing now, I'm like, so how do you not over improve it? And generally speaking, when we're talking over improve, that means you can't get your money out in a flip. But I mean, you're only buying them for $5,000, so it's not like, how could you not get your money back? My question to you is, and I let me finish this question here. Um,
Mhm.
like where are you on that when you're doing these flips and they sell? Are you like, do you even look at the comps, or do you say, hey, I'm gonna ask more than anything that's ever sold? Are you trying to be under what everything is? Like, what's your pricing on a flip?
So I am looking at the comps in the areas. So I'll do my own research. Right? So a lot of people, those houses are selling, they're spending 40 to 50,000. So while I'm spending 3 to 5,000 right there, a lot of their profit is eaten up because they're purchasing at a higher amount. The houses are still going to sell as long as I bring it to the quality or the level of where it needs to be. So I do view the comps to make sure it's a good purchase. But since some of them, it depends if I'm just going to use it for rental income because over time property appreciates as like leaving your money in the bank, for instance your as inflation goes on, your dollar's still going to be a dollar, and you might get 0.03%, interest off that dollar. But if I leave it in the house and I keep it as a rental, my dollar is always going to inflate with the economy. So even keeping that type of acknowledged, but I do look at the comps in the area. And when I see something like there's other investors out there who are doing great work too, and they're bringing the economy up and the value up there too. And all I'm doing is just helping them set the standard. And when we're doing this, we go by the certain comps. And then when you create something that's really, really nice and they have nothing to compare it to, they actually have to go to the next town over to actually get
Really?
a comp that's
So,
that.
so I mean, do you have like your buyers have a like, okay, you didn't, I don't think I got the answer here. So if you're looking at the comp for this house
Yeah.
and everything is selling for, I don't know, I'm just making a guess, 180, 190, and tell me if I'm wrong. What's the neighborhood for that kind of house? Like how much
That
is
house, I just got an appraisal done. The appraisal done was 215.
215?
Yeah.
Now, but are there, I guess so there's comps in the neighborhood for
Yes.
215. Okay, so when you're flipping that house, what are you going to price it at? 215, or are you going to price it at 185? Or are you going to price it at
I'm
250?
going to price that one around about a little over two
Okay.
because I'm leaving equity in there just in case the buyer needs, and we can come to an agreement on a seller's concession if needed. Because I'm looking more to help the person because the equity is still in the house.
Right. So somebody buying this is going to live in the house, obviously,
Yeah,
and they're going to get like probably an FHA loan or
FHA
something like
loan
that.
probably.
And
Yes,
if there's some room for you to give them some kind of concession, then they have to come into the house with less money.
yes,
Yeah. So, all right, that's fantastic. Now, I took one other thing. I took a picture, not a picture. You sent me one just because I think this is super cool. Anybody that does stuff in West Pennsylvania, like, you know, this is like now that wasn't like the last house, but this is like a cookie cutter. There must be hundreds of thousands of houses like this in Pennsylvania in
yes.
general, on the west side. And this is your design for this kind of house. Like
It is.
this, it almost looks like a completely new house. Like, so what was your thought process here? And yeah, what's your thought process here? How do you come up
So
with these
I
ideas?
this concept was one I really looked at and I liked because like you said, those are cookie cutter houses. How can you give it a more modern feel? How can you give it that standout look? And I just thought, like, hey, this particular house that I've seen is an easy way to do it to try to modernize your house. A lot of people like open air and space, so vaulting that ceiling up, making it a different ceiling. So for me, when I saw this and when I look at the cookie cutter houses and I want to do this, I was like, I would want to live in that house. That's what sold me. It's like I would want to be there. I don't care. I would want it, you know. And sometimes when you have that same feel, I know if I want to live in it, I'm pretty sure other people would love to try to live in one of these houses also. So my thoughts is I wouldn't do nothing I wouldn't live in.
Yep. I mean, listen, you said quality. I know your other company is called Quality. You're very focused on quality, and clearly you're giving quality. So there's a couple other things that I want to bring up. You mentioned that, a house that you're buying for $3,000 to $5,000, somebody else is buying for 30 or $40,000. So they're buying that for 30, $40,000 because that doesn't have a tax deed. It's just a regular house, right?
Yes.
That's right. So if the house was not a tax deed, and they're not buying the houses we just showed for $40,000, they're buying houses that need renovation before renovation. So let me explain a little bit, and let me explain a little bit about the tax deeds. So when you're buying a tax deed, you're buying a property from a township or a city or somewhere where somebody lost their house, and this is in the state of Pennsylvania. So I can't speak to all of the rules, and I'm from Pennsylvania, the other side of Pennsylvania, and I've done this a lot on the other side of Philadelphia, in Philadelphia. Um, so in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, if you lose your house because you owed property taxes over a period of time, you lose your house to the township or the city or whatever. You didn't have a mortgage, so there was no mortgage foreclosure. It was just a tax foreclosure. So these municipalities can then sell those properties off. However, when they sell them off to you, you the person that lost the house, and being a person, I think this is a good rule. The
Yeah.
person that lost the house has a 1 year redemption period, meaning that they can come back with interest and pay, and they could say, "Hey, I found the money. I want my house back." Now, if they lost the house for $5,000, they're going to have to pay 5,000 plus, but it's still going to be cheaper than if they went and bought another house.
Mhm.
Now, I have literally in Philadelphia done over 1,000 of those, and it's close to 1,000. And I I've only had 3 times where somebody has redeemed, come back and said, "Hey, I got the money. I want to take the house back." Because usually, if they couldn't pay the property taxes, they're not going to magically come up with the money. Now, that being said, what you don't want to do in this 1 year period is go and renovate the property, because if you renovate the property and they pay it back, you don't get reimbursed your renovation. Um, you can get reimbursed certain things, like if there's a hole in the roof and it's damaging the property, then you could fix the hole in the roof, but you can't go pimp it out like you're pimping it out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So basically, the reason that you get these at such a good price is because they do not have, for 1 year, clear and marketable title, and you cannot get title insurance. So
Yeah.
for many of you that are listening, you will run, you will hear that, and you will go, "Oh my God, I'm not messing with that." So what I want to explain to you guys is, after that 1 year redemption is over, after that 1 year is over, you have free and clear marketable title. You can go to a title company and they will give you title insurance like that on these properties. I've done it like over 1,000 times. Dion's done it as many times as he's done it. So the negative is, you're buying this property, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dion, you're buying this property and you're not doing anything with it for a year.
You'll do minor maintenance. So because the deed is in your name, you are responsible for like grass cutting, if there's debris there, if there's some things on the sidewalk like winter. So you are responsible for those things, but I would not recommend, I would strongly not recommend you throwing a lot of money into the property immediately. Like I said, consider it a savings account. If
Yeah.
you have a few $1,000s that instead of sitting in the bank, you want to do something like this, you're setting up for the next year. So this is pre-planning. So when I go and buy out today, we're about to enter into 2025. These are my 2026 projects
Mm.
that I'm focusing on. I already pre-bought some the year before and the years before that are ready for me to do, but what I'm buying now is my 2026 projects. So instead of me letting my money sit in the bank, and now I'm letting it sitting in a house. I'm letting it sit in the house for about a year time.
Which you brought up, which is a good idea. You have an inflation hedge, so if inflation goes up, the property is going to go up, and you instantly create value because if you're buying these things for like 5,000, and if you did nothing to them and sold them tomorrow for 40,000, you have instant profit. So as an investor, the first thing that's going to come to a lot of people's minds here, why don't I just go? I'll buy a bunch of these and just sell them the next year. So without doing any work. So.
So I
About
have a relationship with the cities, right? Because of my name and what I'm producing to the city. So in order for me to do the massive volume that I'm doing, there is a commitment there because the cities are not just going to allow you to come in and buy 150 houses because you got the money and you're just going to all sell them. And then guess what? The person you sell it to does nothing and it's back on their tax books as a non-paid tax. So I would say be very intentional whenever you're going about this to have a real master plan, even if you're selling it to somebody, which you have the absolute right to do that once you purchase them. Just make sure, what I advise is to make sure the person you're selling to has the intentions on fixing up the community again. Because for me, like I said, quality, it's not just about making money also, but it's also revitalizing communities to making a nice property for somebody to live and bring back value to the community.
okay.
Because
So, well, first off, by law, you can go and sell it the next year if you
you can
want.
sell it to whoever you want,
Right.
yes.
But what you're saying is, well, here's a question. I mean, is there a limit to the number of these that somebody can buy?
I know in certain cities, yes.
Okay.
Some of them only allow you to do one if you haven't done one before.
Okay.
Some of
So,
them, if you've done one and you did good on it, they'll allow you to buy three. I've done quite a few, so I can buy bulk.
okay. So like what's your plan for just to have an idea here, for 2025, how many can you buy? Like how many are you or will they allow you to buy and how many do you plan to buy?
So this year I'm planning to buy 100 plus houses.
But I love it, man.
I am buying, yeah, and that's due to you for allowing me to take this lid off of what I've been, having building up in my mind. And so you kind of was like, hey, go ahead and really go on the deep end and dive out there. And so this year I'm going to buy, it was 100, but it's 100 plus because I already have a list of when I go back down there to purchase like another 29 more. So I'm
Okay.
able to buy a lot.
Okay. So, and listen, I acknowledge you for taking it to the next level, but like let's say I came there and no one knows me there. Can I
Mhm.
buy 100?
No.
Okay. Can I can buy one though, right?
Yes, you can. Yes.
Okay. Now if I buy one and just flip it and I come back the next year, like flip it, not renovate it and come back the next year, you think they're going to let me? I mean, I know we don't know, but do you think they're going to
Yeah.
be buying more?
Yeah. So I would say percentage wise, now you went from 100% approval to probably drop down to a 50% approval.
I got
Because you have to get them approved by the city the way I'm purchasing from these tax deeds, you know,
so
to
yeah, you've told me there is a process. Like you get it approved by three places. What are
yes, the
what is
county, the city, and the school board.
okay? And so
And that's, yeah,
somebody in the bureaucracy of those places has to sign off.
yes, they do.
Now,
All three of them have to sign off. Yes.
okay. And can you do this virtually? Like, can I do this from Aruba? Can
No,
I?
you actually have to physically go there and you have to physically go there. And I was just talking to Jay. I had to go in, I had to fly in for a 7 p.m. meeting, to just confirm the purchases that I'm doing now. And I had to do a whole presentation. It wasn't cookie cutter. It wasn't just walk in there, throw my name on it. No. They really want, because the cities really want their communities to be built up. And so they want to make sure that you're going to do everything that you said you're going to do.
Okay. And so, all right, you're going to buy 100 of these houses, and your intention is to renovate 100 houses and flip them to homeowners like you were talking about.
Yes and no, because some of them are multifamily. So I'm buying some duplexes too. So there's some rentals there too. So the intentions are to buy, fix up, wholesale some, and to also have some rental properties also there, bringing in some revenue.
Oh,
Because the goal is I want to get like you to do over 1,000 or 2,000 properties a year.
well, I'm not doing it anymore, but um, so all right, you said a couple things there. So when you do a rental property, do you do the same kind of renovation?
I do. So me, I'm very high lux, right? They call me high luxury, high lux. An apartment, it will be similar, but not as high lux because, it's going to be quality material, meaning that it's not going to get damaged if somebody's kids just keep dropping toys or they're doing stuff. So it's not going to be cheap material, but it's going to be well quality grade material. Will they get porcelain floors? No, you might get laminate. Will they get the $160 chandelier? No, you might get the $100 chandelier, but you'll have the same quality. It's still a great standard to have because
Okay.
I have a model of air conditioner, heat, different things in there and how I remodel them. Yes.
Okay. So Hey, here's a question for you. So that's flipping a lot of houses. Aren't you worried that like there won't be buyers, in that market when you're done?
No, I'm not worried. There's a lot of stuff happening in that area. There's a lot of business and industries coming into that area. There's a lot of jobs opening in that area. Like I told you, my prayer was to God, let me be a part of a boom. And right now, this economy down here is actually booming.
And if I'm a buyer, especially first time home buyer, FHA buyer, how much money do you need to buy a house like this? Like 3% down, I think is right? Is that the number?
Yeah,
Yeah,
3.5.
3.5. So 3.5 of 200,000. Would you say the average house is a couple 100,000?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. So 200,000, 3.5 is like 7,000 plus closing
Mhm.
costs. Let's say that's 4,000. So they got to come up with $11,000 to buy a house like that.
Yeah, that's on the rough end. But if I'm also so part of why I sell is because I also offer seller concessions. So really, for me, if we can negotiate something where you're coming under 11,000, you might only have to come out to seven
That's
if the
insane.
seller concession allows.
Yeah. So it's just a great deal for obviously, you make some money, but you really are providing something to that city, the cities that you're doing it, and to the people. Like, I mean, it's amazing to have that to be able to live in a house like that, like
Mhm.
in those kinds of neighborhoods. Now, are these like, I always equate neighborhoods um A, B, C, and D. Like D is like, you don't want to get out of your car. And,
Yeah, no.
A is like, super high end. And I don't invest in A neighborhoods. And then there's B and C. Like B is blue collar that make good money. But they're just not doctors and lawyers. It's like, electricians and, those type of people. And then C is just straight rental neighborhood. I mean, I'm not saying it's not Beverly Hills, but it's just straight, right? There's regular
Mhm.
people there that, just don't have the money to afford to buy a house. So where would you put?
All the properties in the county is a B and C county.
Okay.
There
Got
are some areas that are worse than others, but they're pretty much a lot of Bs.
Okay.
Nice neighborhoods, people who take care of things, a longevity of families living in those neighborhoods. It's not like, you have people just coming in and out, fly by night people. There are, but like I said, people travel, but a lot of times it's B and C.
Got
I would definitely grade it B and C.
Gotcha. Okay. So I just want to say that, like, I brought Dion on here to talk a little bit about like what he's doing and give it an example so we can talk about tax deeds. I just want to mention that this is in the state of Pennsylvania, and every state has something similar to this, but they don't all work exactly like this. There are some states where you can pay for the taxes, but you don't get the house right away.
Mhm.
It could be a period of time where, these people have a chance to pay back their taxes. And when they do, you get whatever you paid plus interest. And if they don't, then you get the house. So there's different, I don't want, this is not like a, this is not exactly, every state is different. That's all I want to say. My
Yes.
disclaimer
It's not
here.
a cookie cutter process.
Yeah. So, but Dion's situation in Pennsylvania, these are the rules. Now, a couple things I do want to mention, like when you buy these, like, if you're not going to a title company, like what do you actually buy? Like what are you getting and how do you get it? Like what's the process?
So the process after you get all the signatures you need, which is time consuming, you go down to the county, you pay the county, and then there's another time consuming process because there's court. So they have to go to court to petition, and after they petition and you win your petition, you get what's called a tax deed. And the tax deed goes into whatever you put in your LLC, you put in your personal, whatever name you put it in, that's where the deed comes in. So you do get a tax deed. And once you get the tax deed, I recommend, you don't have to listen to me, but I recommend smart business, don't touch the property to improve. So after the 1 year time period is lapsed.
All right, so you get a deed.
Yeah.
All right, so when you got that deed, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Like, hey, you got the deed to a house. Can't you get a loan from a bank?
No.
Okay. And the reason you can't get a loan from a bank is because you can't get title
Title
insurance.
insurance. Yeah, nobody's going to loan give you a
Right.
loan on the property.
And I want to be clear for people that are interested in doing this, even in other states or wherever, is that the only reason you can't get title insurance is because these people have a redemption right, and nobody wants to give you title insurance if they have a redemption right. You can, and I do, I have done. You can do like a preliminary title, even like you can do a preliminary title to see like what's all there, but a lot of that stuff gets wiped at the tax deed portion. Now, I wanted to mention too. So let's say I want to be Dion Jr. I want to do this, but I can only do one, right? What's the time period I'm looking? First off, I got to physically go somewhere or send somebody. I got to get some sign offs. So how long does it take me to get a deed?
All right. So to get the deed is almost like a 1 year process because you have to go, depending on when the cities does their meetings, because they have to vote. So if the city is doing a once a month meeting, then depending if you go, you got to go to that once a month meeting. What I just ran into after I just did one, they didn't say no, but they wanted me to come in for an additional meeting. So now that's time. Then after you do that, you have to go to the school board. Then if the school board does it, because some cities the school signs off immediately. Some they only do every 2 weeks a school board meeting. Then you have to be up there and they have to vote on it. The county, you get the signature immediately. Once those are done, you go ahead and you go to the county and pay. Where I'm seeing that there is a time lapse of almost about 3 to 6 months is the petitioning when going to courts. Because you're buying in these counties where they don't have a lot of municipality workers, so if there's already court going on, you're just in queue.
Right.
So you just have to wait till you come up in queue, and then I know there's like 3 petitions that go out during different times, and that could take months. By the end of the day, they'll call you when to sign your deed. Once they sign the deed, probably like another couple of weeks or a month, the deed will be prepped and ready, and they'll send you a copy of it. So I'm looking anywhere from 9 months to, well, 9 months to 12 months, depending on how backed up they are.
So you're saying the fastest, you say, hey, I want 123 Main Street. The
Mhm.
fastest you will get a deed in your name is 9 months.
9 months, yeah.
Okay. So now you have to wait a year from the 9 months, right?
Yes.
So this is like, so you can't get title insurance for 9 months and a year or 12 months and a year. So you're looking at a 2 year process here. So
Yes.
if you picked a house today, well, if you picked a house in any year, let's say you're in January of 2030, you can't work on that property really till you can't do it in 2030. You can't do it. Can't do it till maybe the end of 2031, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And that's just because to protect, yourself. You want to make sure you use wisdom when you go in and purchase these properties. And part of your wisdom is to make sure that you don't have a huge liability out there. Sometimes you don't have to be anxious just to go out there and fix it up because somebody could redeem the house and you lost some money.
So, I mean, all right, if I'm going to wait a couple years, I'm a Mr. Well, first off, I have, I'm just an impatient person. So I have done these and I would just work on them, and I definitely had, the three that got redeemed. These guys were smart. They were still living in the neighborhood. They saw their house got all fixed up, and they got a new house from me. So it doesn't happen often, and it probably would never happen if you don't fix the house up. But I didn't want to wait that long. But I understand that, we want everybody to be super safe. That's what you want to do. You want to wait that long. Now, if I'm going to wait that long, how much money, I mean, I'm figuring, I guess, let me see here. The house that you showed us, would you say that the house that you showed us is like a standard house? Like, is that a normal house? Okay.
That's one of the
So,
standards. Yes.
so let's say, if I presume you bought that for $5,000 and you sold it for a 200,000, right?
Yes.
But the only thing I don't know is like what kind of how much, is a renovation like that a roundabout cost? Like I know you're
About
super
80
big.
to $90,000 rental.
Okay. So let's say it's even 100. So
Yeah.
basically before real estate commissions and closing costs, you got $100,000 vig on a house like that.
Yes.
Okay. I think it's worth the wait. I think a lot of people would wait for that, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so, all right, let me think here. So, you know, this has been, I think I want to make sure that we get all the questions that people would ask. Is there any questions that's like maybe I should have asked you that I didn't ask you that?
I know we didn't bring up Rust to Riches because part of them, if they want to get involved, we have a program coming out called Rust to Riches where it'll kill some of your time because some of these properties are already waited time for. If you want to get involved with the Rust to Riches program, it'll save you almost a year's worth of time.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. So let me get back. So first off, if I want to get involved, I can only buy one, right?
Yes.
But you got this program, which I love the name, Rust to Riches.
Mhm.
Um, why don't you talk a little bit about like, in generality, what the program is? Because one is not exciting for me. So like, if can I buy 10 from you? Like, are you wholesaling them to me? Like, what's the deal? And
So,
obviously, I can't buy them for $5,000. You got to make some money too. So like, what
of
is
course.
what's the program here?
So the Restoration program, we have a program which allows investors, new investors, seasoned investors, wherever the investor level you want to come in at, to be able to come and partner with us to purchase some of these properties. Um, on average, I think about what, 20 to $30,000. Don't quote me on the number. You can get involved and you'll get an option to do two properties with us for that amount. And how it will work is you will become an 49% owner of the LLC that we're purchasing the property and will remain 51%. But through that, you will be able to be a part of this investment strategy that we have with these tax claim deeds. So you'll be able to get involved with the tax deeds with us on these properties, and the goal is to remodel some. So the profit margins there, you'll be able to eat off some of the profit margin. If I'm not mistaken, it's 34%. I believe it is, or 34 to 35%.
Okay,
I can't.
I got some questions. So let's say I'm interested, I want to buy a bunch of these. Um, you know, so who's putting up the money to buy the property? Like buy because like I said, I don't want to buy one. So let's say I'm buying uh 10, right?
Okay.
Can I buy 10?
Through Russ to Riches.
Well, yeah, but I know I can't buy 10. Like they're gonna
Yeah,
kick
through
me out
Russell
of the place.
Riches, you'll be able
Yeah.
to buy 10. So we will submit to you what that 10 acquisition will cost, and
Uh-huh.
you'll put that money up. And once you submit that in there, we'll at that point tell you which properties that you're putting the finances up for that you'll be involved in.
Okay, so now when you say put the money up, I'm going to get a deed to the property. Like I'm going to be on the LLC.
You'll be
What?
on the LLC and there will be an operating agreement, but we're submitting in for the deed. So you'll have all documentation that we have that we submitted in because we still have to wait on deed. And
Okay.
whenever deed comes back, the deed will show the LLC's name.
Okay. So I'm going to give money to an LLC that we both own,
Yeah,
right? I'm going to have proof because, I don't want to, no offense, I don't want to give you money that you go to Aruba,
yeah, yeah,
if I got the pool going on over here.
yeah,
Um, you know, so I'm going to get a receipt that that LLC, which I own, is in for the tax deed. Like, that
yes.
but it's not approved yet, is basically what you're saying.
Yes, so that the county received the funds and that they're in process to start the deed with us. So there'll be a stamp notarized date with the county's information, how much was paid, which properties it were paid for. You'll have the parcel number, and it was a whole detailed thing showing when it was paid, the date it was paid. And then as they send petition notices, we will update you with the petition notices that everything is going through. Once the deed is fully finished, this is why I must remain 51%. I must go down there and sign the deed. So if you're all the way out in California, I don't want you to fly all the way to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. So I can go handle that, or I can have one of my staff members handle that also to sign the deed to make sure we have it.
All right, so then we got the deed, then it's in our name. So when we get to so basically the money sits, like you said, it's an investment. It's obviously growing with like what inflation, and we got a good price. But who's gonna keep shovel the snow and clean the this and do,
So
who's gonna
part of the
insure it?
Rest to Riches program, we have that all calculated. So there will be money in the account, that will do all the maintenance. We have contractors, we have people in the area that was already going to maintain because it will have the grass getting cut. We'll have contractors do minor maintenance to the building to make sure no further damage is going to be done there. And then if the snow needs to be shoveled, we have that there. So in part of your package deal, what you're paying into, you're also paying into that program also, which also gives us insurance also.
Okay, so now I'm putting up the money, all
Mhm.
of it, or 49% of it.
All of it.
Okay. And I okay. So why am I putting up all of it instead of 49%?
All right. So you're in this business deal, which is a unique deal. I spent a lot of time, energy, and also money to go down there to research these things, to get all this stuff together. I've also done a lot of work to show the cities that I'm able to maintain this. So you're putting that money up so that you can be a part of this program so that we can also execute the plan. So why are you putting it all up? Because this is a unique investment. And
So
I
and
understand.
and and my alternative, if I wanted to do it by myself, is I could do one and I'd have to physically go there and sign everything. Now let me ask you this. And look, I'm not
Yeah, of
knocking. I mean, you're a student of mine. I'm asking questions that I know people are going to ask.
course.
Um, so okay, now I get it, but am I going to do anything? Like
No.
no. Okay.
You don't have to do anything. You will be consistently updated. Me and my team, we will go out there with the contractors. We will make sure the contractors are doing the level of work that we are getting done. We will meet with the realtors to get it listed. If you choose to do a rental property, we will be meeting with the rental company to do everything to get it listed also for rent. We will manage 100% of the job. You will literally just be leaving the money there and calling in for updates. Or what I want to do is create some type of online portal for you to go out and see the progress of where we are with the status of your property.
Okay. All right. So now I own a property. We got to wait for the deed to get recorded. Then the deed gets recorded. Well, I own it with you. And then a year from now we can get title insurance. When we can get title insurance, now we have to put up money for renovation. Who puts up
Yeah.
that?
So, because I'm a entrepreneur, I have a lot of different things going on with my information and doing my own projects. Part of the deal is you would have to go and be able to qualify for a construction loan. So we will help you with that to qualify for the construction loan. We'll have some lenders involved. If you have your own lender, we'll definitely allow you to use your own lender, but you will have to get the approval. But if you're not able to get approved, there is a buyback process that we can do.
Okay. So first off, I don't have to come up with my own money for the renovation. I can borrow it,
You can borrow
right?
it.
Or
Yes.
we can borrow it.
Yes.
So it wouldn't be me borrowing, it would be the LLC, right?
LLC. Yes.
Right. Okay. So I guess we would set up a special purpose entity for that purpose. And then when we can get title insurance, the LLC will borrow money to get the renovation. It should be, from my experience, it should be super easy because you already own the land, you know? So now we're gonna renovate it with that money. What was the other thing that you said? Oh, we could, I mean, if I didn't want to pay, like, obviously, if I borrow money, I have to pay, points and interest and this, that, and the other thing, maybe I have some money sitting around. I don't have to use that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
But I would have to come up with it if
if need,
one way or the other, I have to come up with it.
yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned if I qualify. So yeah, that would suck if I put up the money and then I find out like a couple of years later I don't qualify. So what happens then? Like I can't get the loan. Can't you get a loan? Can't, like, what's the deal?
So during that time and space, if we do see that you cannot qualify, there is a buyback for you, which meaning we will pay for your 51% of the property that you put up. And then there's also, if I'm not mistaken, there's also an incentive because you let your money sit out there for a time period. You'll actually get there's a cash value percentage that you'll get. I don't know offhand which it is per property, but there's a percentage that you'll get back on top of the money that you put out and you let sit there and wait. Because we're not trying to steal your money. We're not trying to hold anything like that. If you just do not qualify, there is a way for you to get your money back and we will buy you back out.
Okay. I mean, I would say that, I guess you could qualify me now, but 2 years from now, my whole life could be different. That's how things happen.
Yeah.
So okay. So there is some, if I put up $100,000, I'm not just going to get my 100,000 back. I'm going to get 100,000 plus something. So it wasn't a waste of time.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. All right, but you're going to handle managing the contractor. You're going to go get everything signed. You're going to handle maintenance of the property. You're going to handle dealing with the realtor to sell and the price, and you're just going to keep me updated.
Yes.
This is what I like in retirement. This is a nice little, okay. Um, all right. What are some other questions I should be asking you that I'm not about this Rust to Riches program?
Um, can you do multiple at one time? I would say yes, as long as you can financially sustain it and substantiate it, and if you're able to qualify. Um, besides that, is there anything else? Not at this time, I would say, because we are still, and then does it require age? Because you might have some young people, like you said, 18, 17, or some older people. Is there an age requirement? Obviously I would say over the age of 18 to be
Yeah,
in
yeah.
business.
I think
Yeah.
yeah.
And then do you actually for the younger people, we will actually try to vet them a little deeper because we just don't want you to just throw you just got $20,000, that's your last $20,000 and you're hungry. We don't want you. That's a terrible investment strategy right there.
Yep, gotcha. Um, Man, I had something else that came to mind. I had something else that came to mind, but I don't know. But look, it's an interesting um it's an int oh, okay. So um, why would you even bring on a partner? That's my question. Like, why would you bring on a partner?
So with me, first of all, I'm not a greedy person. I would like to educate people. I wish I had somebody to, when I was learning real estate, to really take me under fully their wing to show me different things in investment. So that's one thing to show you how to invest on these levels. Because going out there on your own, you're going to get bit by a lot of different hiccups. And if I can help prevent pitfalls, that's one thing. Second thing, because by you coming on, it allows us to do bigger volume.
Mm, mm.
We can do more.
Yeah, I mean, when you say you're going to buy 129 houses, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking like, and I have an idea of your plan. I mean, you are capable of doing that, but most people are not capable of doing that. And even if you are capable of doing it, who wants to, use every single dollar, every investment dollar they have, it would be easier to give up like half the deal. So, but basically what you're telling me is if I did one of these deals, you know, gross, so what, we're just going to split 51-49? Is that what it, so if that example you gave me, you know, and look, I'm obviously it's going to be 2 years from now that people are getting paid. So these houses could be worth more. The houses, you know, anything could
Yeah.
happen. It could be worth less, you know, but that being said, it's not likely. Um, with the $100,000 VIG, we're going to split the $100,000 VIG we talked about earlier in the podcast.
Yes.
Basically, is what you're saying,
Yes.
right? Okay, and I'm sure that you know you're going to have all the accounting and operating agreements and everything for the LLCs. This is not a um, this is not a a podcast on you know
Yeah.
operating agreements and that kind of stuff. Okay, so all right, anything you know, I think that's very interesting. I wanted to do this podcast for a couple reasons. You know, one, I wanted to explain what investing in tax sales or tax deeds is, and this is a real example. I have actually done um like I've done courses on it, and it's boring, and people just they sometimes they go, you know, I don't want to say it's boring. It's too complicated for them, and they feel
Mhm.
like it's too complicated. So I wanted to use you as a great example of something, you know, that there's a big opportunity here that you don't get if you're not buying these tax deeds. And it's not as heavy as everybody thinks it is. Like some people think, oh, I don't know, I don't want to mess with that because I can't get title insurance. But you can get title insurance after the redemption period. I wanted to show the kind of renovations that you're doing, why you're doing it, and what kind of profit margins you're doing. And you know, you got a chance to showcase your Rust to Riches program. So I think I think that's about all I have for questions, unless there's something you want to add or something else you think that we should add.
I think we should add is if you're watching this and you're looking for a great mentor, please. Us, if you want to become a student, as you see what he did for me, I had a lot of good tools, and what he did, even though how great I thought I was, he actually helped me to grow to another level. So we're able to have this conversation. So if you are looking to grow in real estate, why not go to the doctor?
Oh man, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And you know, since you're giving me a little plug there, you know, I don't just coach real estate, I also coach business,
Yes.
and I coach mindset, and we get into all that. Actually, Dion has joined our men's mastermind group, and you know, the guys are great there. They're super happy to have you in the group too. So you know, yeah, you guys can reach out to me if you'd like to be coached. I really appreciate the shout out there. I always forget to give myself a shout out. But if you guys are interested, we'll put a link below to where you can get information on this Rust to Riches and Dion's information. And with that being said, I just want to say thank you guys for watching my podcast. And thank you, Dion, for being here and enlightening us on this super great, you know, you're going to be like the king of Aliquippa, you know, so with that being said, guys, really appreciate you coming to this podcast. Have the best day of your life. Thanks, guys.